I believe there is a big difference in a COVID death for a child. Primarily, they were not allowed to visit their loved one, and they weren't allowed to say goodbye. And I think that has a huge impact on the whole family. A child may not fully understand why, again, they cannot visit their loved one, but they may have seen very little symptoms in this loved one, and the next news they get is that they have died. So they don't see the progression of that disease. So it's very difficult for them to follow that. I first ask the child or the family member what they think is happening with their loved one. And if there are any information that is false, I might clarify that for them. And often I will draw a body and, zone in on the particular part of the body that is being affected. And if it's the heart, um, just say because the heart's not working, it can affect the whole body. And basically, the best way to explain death to a child is to say, your grandfather's body stopped working. There is a booklet that I did make specifically for children that had lost a loved one to COVID. And in that booklet, they get to draw a picture, which oftentimes children may draw or write their feelings instead of verbally saying them. So that's a good exercise for them to get those feelings out. I also ask them to remember memories of their loved one. Ask them, what did your grandpa like to do? Tell me a funny story about your grandpa. Sometimes I will see if the child has experienced a death of a pet. And so I can relate that for them when, to try to address those scary feelings. I basically, tell them it's okay to have whatever feeling you have. You could be scared, you could be sad, you even could be angry or mad, and that's okay. And those feelings may change over the next couple days. Children grieve in more spurts than adults do. Children will grieve with the immediate news of a death of a loved one, and they may cry or be sad, and then they want to go play. And after they've played a while, they may come back to the parent and need a hug. It's like they can only bite off what they can handle of this, and they have to go back to something that they know and are comfortable and enjoy. And oftentimes that's play. I think that the wording that people use with children, often they skirt around the issue, and they need to say death or died because there are a lot of euphemisms that people will use. They're just sleeping. They've gone to a better place. And children may be afraid of sleeping after hearing that. Or they may question, well, if he's in a better place, can I go visit? So those can be very difficult for the child to understand exactly what the adult is saying. They are able to process this real language. They often are attuned to something going on because they see their relatives crying and upset, and they need to hear the truth. If they don't understand what death means, then I go back to your body stops working and that's when a person dies. And it also can be geared towards their spiritual views as well. Helping children grieve, I believe, is, thinking back on happy memories that they've had with their loved one. Tell me something fun that you did with your grandpa. Your grandpa went to your concerts at school or your basketball games, and he was there. And also kind of have a sense of gratitude that they had time with this loved one, and that's something that they can always, that's never been taken away from them. I think this perspective helps them in the long run realize that yes, they're going to miss their loved one, and it's going to be weird for them to not have that person around, but to look back on the fun times they did have and to have that sense of gratitude. It may take a while for them to go through the process, and they may need some help with that. And I often tell parents to check with their school counselors and see if there are available services through that. San Antonio has a wonderful, the Children's Bereavement Center of South Texas here in San Antonio. And we also have an organization, Any Baby Can, for families who have lost an infant.